on this
I
today.
know.
What is going on? You are watching and, of course, listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we are here every Wednesday night on the Crowdcast platform. This is episode 509. I am your host, Stevie, alongside my co-host, partner in crime, Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing?
Hello, darling. I'm doing well. Just join the live, and I
Yes.
will request me to join on, and then I'll approve you.
Okay, yeah, we're going live on
There we go.
Instagram Live. Did I do it?
I think we got you. Add on as a.
Hey, sorry guys, we're lots to talk about on this show, but we're going live on
Oh, there we go.
Instagram. Okay, I think I'm
Yes.
going live in a second here. If you're following us on Instagram Live, we are live there. So here I am. Hi.
Woo! Let me turn off my volume.
Volume. Yes, exactly. There we go. Okay. Hi to Instagram Live. This is episode 509. How you doing? Kodi Maurice Doggette, my co-host. How you doing?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful, darling. Hello, darling.
Hello, darling. Love it. We have so much to talk about, including our special guest coming on a little bit later in the show, Lamont White. Lamont White is a matchmaker, a dating expert, and a relationship counselor. So much to talk to him on that show. We can't wait to get into that. But before we do, a couple of things. Today, Kodi, is National Coming Out Day. Happy National Coming Out Day.
Happy
And
National Coming Out Day, darling.
yes, be proud of who you are and who you support for the LGBTQ plus community. This is National Coming Out Day. Sharing our authentic selves with others is not always safe or easy, and it's not a one-day event. But when possible, it can actually be an extraordinary, powerful key to breaking down the barriers we face as LGBTQ plus people. So our community really is in a state of emergency, and I think recognizing
Yes.
National Coming Out Day is really important. So I'm really here for it. Happy National Coming Out Day on Instagram Live. Hi,
Yes.
happy to you as well, Kodi.
All the
Great
listeners
day.
back at you, boo.
Absolutely. And several years ago on this particular day, one of my favorite artists, Janet Jackson, released the song. Actually, the song went to number one, When I Think of You, reached
Mm-hmm.
number one on the Billboard Hot 100, and that was back in 1986. So we're also celebrating that as well. Super excited about that. Do you love that song, When I Think of You?
I love that song. Nothing else seems to matter. That's right,
That's one of
baby.
my favorite songs. I love
She's
that
so
song too.
good.
So
She's
good.
so
Hit
good.
after hit after hit. And then also, we couldn't think of a better way to celebrate National Coming Out Day than with a couple that actually celebrated. So, a couple from Mexico went to Disneyland, and one of them was actually going to propose to the other one. They've been together 7
Mm-hmm.
years, and to the other one's surprise, he was going to also propose to his partner. So we caught it on video here. We're going to play it for you right now, but it's really, really special. Take a look at this. I know it's not an Instagram Live, but two couples from a couple from, I believe they're from Guadalajara. Are you crying, Kodi?
A little bit. I couldn't even watch it with you while we were on the phone together during our production meeting because I am so romantic and mushy in my heart. You know, I love all the sad songs and the mushy songs, and it's just so beautiful.
This
Yeah.
was beautiful. We're talking about Javier Lopez Jimenez and Samuel Bishop Macias. They both live in Guadalajara, and they were visiting America. They were going to Anaheim's Disneyland, that particular one, and one of them got down on his knees, and when he saw the other one got down with his ring as well, and they
Hmm.
both propose. The cool thing about this video, Cody, is the passerbys in Disneyland. And today, a bold move to do in Disneyland. It's not like they went to a gay pride event where it would be totally obviously welcomed, but they did it at a somewhat, I would say, family friendly conservative place that
Yeah.
right now, I'm not sure I would do that and have the nerve to do it at Disneyland, but Disneyland is Fantasyland, and I think my favorite part of the video is looking at all the passerbys walk by and seeing the joy in their faces. And many had strollers as they were walking by, and it looked like everybody was just on board with it, and it seemed really lovely and beautiful.
Yeah, it was great. Everybody was clapping. There was no hate, or I didn't see any disgust in the audience. And I just thought it was a lovely moment. And it just goes to show that not everybody's really hateful in this world towards the LGBTQ plus community. And I think that that's amazing. We need to show more aspects of our love out there in the world. And I just wonder whose ring was better. That's the only thing I want to know. Okay.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, at that point, would it really matter? Just because
Yes, it
I,
does matter.
I feel like in an age where people want to rush things along, these two
Mhm.
guys have been together 7 years. And I think they are truly in love. They want to be married. They are clearly in sync with their actions, that they both thought this is the time that we want to propose at Disneyland. I think they are a couple, I think, that is totally going to last and make it. And
I think
so
so too.
I'm
With
super
a
happy
nicer
for them.
ring.
I'm sure both rings were lovely and
Okay.
amazing, and
I'm
yeah.
glad you have so much faith in people. So thank you so much for that.
I don't think I would actually care it. I actually like
Oh,
a nice
really?
piece of jewelry. I
No,
do.
girl.
I wouldn't care actually. I
Good.
already have a diamond that I love that I wear
Hmm.
every day. So yeah. Okay. Well, we've got to move on to our president's brother, if you will. Cody, I think you have the picture. I'm not sure if you already
I
uploaded
do. I
it.
uploaded
Okay, so
her.
this is crazy because Joe Biden's younger brother Frank admits to a naked selfie that he says it got leaked, but it went onto a site called Guys with iPhones, gay dating site. He actually admits that's him in the picture, which I would admit too if I look like that in there. Let's first talk about the image. I think you could post it up. Can we first say that Frank Biden you can't see it there, but this was taken a few years ago. How
Yeah,
many years ago was it taken?
2018. So
2018.
5 years ago. Yeah.
5 years ago. Okay, so he's got a nice body there. Somebody said in
Yeah.
the comments he could do a little bit more squats, but hey, I'll take it.
Come
And
on. He's in his 50s or 60s here.
60's there
Yeah.
and looking really good. What you don't see, which we've shaded out, which you could probably find out. Cody says just DM him for the actual
Just
picture. I got to see it, and Frank Biden is packing nicely. What did you say? Juicy and thick.
thick and juicy all the way. Daddy Frank is doing it big time. I was very excited by this. This story makes me so happy. I don't know why. Maybe it's because now I know the Bidens are just like us. They are.
They are packing, not
They
like
are packing.
my former trainer, Unleashed Fit. I'm not sure if he's packing, but I see he's joined the conversation
I'm sure he
on
is.
Instagram Live, but
He's got the leader of our country has crazy family that are posting nudes online. He's just like us. It's so relatable. It's so wonderful. And like you said, I have the unedited version. If anybody would like it, please DM me. I will send
DM
it
Cody.
right on the way. And I love it. I don't know if he's into guys. I don't know if his phone was actually really hacked, but if
Let's
he
talk
is,
about
give him
that
my number.
because the picture actually we said went to guyswithiphones.com in
Yes.
2018, and it is a gay site,
Hmm.
correct? We can
Yes.
confirm that. He agrees that that's him. The Daily Mail published this. Frank is 69. He conceded he is the man in the photo. I am absolutely no comment, he said. I could care less. I haven't even looked at it, Frank said Monday morning when asked about the shot at his Florida home. They must have hacked my phone, he said.
Boy,
Anything that
bye.
is anything that is a revealing picture of some kind is between Mindy and me. Mindy apparently is
Oh,
his wife. I really don't want to start my day off this way, said Frank. Definitely didn't pose it anywhere. Okay, let's break this down. Do we
break it
believe
down,
him?
baby.
Do we believe him, or do we think that he has another DL side to
A-
him because he comes from
an agreement with Mindy? Maybe. I think maybe he has an
an
agreement with
agreement with
Mindy
Mindy?
to go
What is
with
this,
Mort.
Jada Smith and Will Smith all over again? Did you hear about that? We're not going to get
Oh,
into it.
I think that they have a what did they call it? Not a situationship, entanglement. Oh, that's what it was called, and
Yeah,
it was amazing. So maybe they
yes.
have an entanglement. I don't judge. I just say, share the wealth because it is wealthy down there, and I'm in love with it. So thank
It's
you.
nice. It's
Yeah.
juicy. And I love that he confirmed that that's him. I would too, because it looks great. And hey, still, we don't know if they have an entanglement or not, Mindy and him, but we can also dream. So go on, Frank Biden and the
Go
Bidens.
ahead. All right now.
Yeah. Okay, well, moving on, we've got to talk about a song that actually came out, and it's kind of we're talking about a transphobic song.
Hmm.
Streaming giants Spotify and Apple Music are pretty much under fire for hosting a child's transphobic track. And it's Christian rapper Tyson James and his 11-year-old son, Toby. They have raked in millions of views on social media, but the song with Tyson and the son, Toby, it's called Still Two, the number two genders. Still Two Genders. You get where this is going. Of
I'm
course,
surprised they can
sparked-
count that high,
oh,
honestly.
thank
Sorry.
you. Of course, it sparked controversy for its derogatory lyrics towards the trans community. Tyson James shared a video of him and his son rapping the song on TikTok before it found its way to Twitter. And Tyson James also has a transphobic song called Just Two Genders. So still two genders, and then the other original song, Two Genders, that he posted previously. But where it's
Hmm.
coming under fire is they are so against only two genders in this,
Hmm.
and it's made its way through Apple Music and Spotify,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty crazy. Both platforms, as of yet, haven't pulled it down, and it actually goes against Apple Music's guidelines of what they actually have of hatred and bigotry towards a community, in this case, the transgender community. And so, furthermore, the song's derogatory characterizations of trans people as demons stands in stark contrast in the content policies of both Apple and Spotify.
Hmm.
So, why do you think, Kodi, that they haven't taken it down? By now, they've heard the backlash, and it doesn't seem like they're so quick to want to take something down like this. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I'm not quite sure. It's kind of mind-boggling because I feel like Apple Music and Spotify should be on one accord as far as hate speech is concerned. I think that this is blatantly hate speech. And I know that if I personally put something up about a song about the Proud Boys or the KKK or anything like that, and that was inflammatory in that manner, I feel like it would be taken down immediately. And because this is sowing the seeds of hate in people. This is actually the textbook definition of grooming, because we know that this child did not come up with this song. He is being used, and he is being he's being used as a vehicle to spread this hate. And it's
Yeah.
just ridiculous to me. It's unconscionable, and I don't understand it. I can't believe it. It's horrible.
This coming
And
off
why
of
they
a
got to be rapping also? Because
well,
they
that
probably don't
too.
even like black people, right?
Well, exactly. And this coming off the heels of Meta, which has simply failed to moderate content for anti trans hate groups on Instagram. And this is based on a new Watchdog report. And the report was released by Media Matters for America. The Watchdog group on Tuesday criticized Instagram for all its alleged failure to effectively moderate content posted by the controversial anti trans organization Gays Against Groomers. Um, Time and time again, Cody, they have failed to actually moderate content, but let a lot of other content go through. And it's just, we are in a state right now. We just said the HRC and glad we are in a state of emergency right now for our
Hmm.
community. And thing platforms that we use like Spotify, Apple Music, Meta, which owns Instagram, which owns Facebook, of course,
Okay.
Twitter, hello, Elon Musk. Nobody is really looking out for our community at all when it comes to social media. And it doesn't take a brain scientist to know that trickle down, if kids like this singer are singing lyrics like this, it's trickling down to the kids in the streets. And that's why you're
Yep.
seeing so much hate activated on the streets right now, and homophobia. We just keep reporting on this time and time again, and I'm sick of it. But I'm really saddened by what we're seeing on the streets. And if pop culture and pop media isn't being watchdogs to what's going out there, we don't really have a chance.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. Instagram is failing us yet again because I feel like more and more they are not aligning themselves with the LGBTQ plus community. I think that if they're letting this hate speech go unchecked, and I can't understand why they would even align themselves with this type of stuff. And it's just really ridiculous to me. These idiots they even attacked Sesame Street for saying that
Wow.
everyone was allowed on Sesame Street, and that Sesame Street was trying to actually uplift our community, and they went at Elmo's neck, and I
Ugh,
cannot believe who would go at Elmo's neck. He's the sweetest little character ever. Like, what does it
right?
take for you to go at Elmo? So it's just
Maybe
ridiculous.
this next study will help shed a little bit more light. It's a brand new study. They didn't
Okay.
poll a lot of people, but apparently, who you know, knowing a trans person can affect your attitude toward when it comes to LGBTQ plus rights. And
Hmm.
there's apparently in this study a strong correlation between knowing someone who's transgender and supporting trans equality and LGBTQ plus causes in general. This is the brand new study for Data for Progress, and it's a
Hmm.
particularly pronounced among independent voters. Data for Progress notes, adding that the survey underscores stark differences between Democrats and Republicans. No surprise there. But some of the key findings was that only 30% of respondents know someone who is transgender. This is out of 1,229 likely voters. So keep that in mind, a small study. But again, 30% of respondents only know somebody who is transgender, and 21% know someone who is non binary. In
Okay.
comparison, 69% know someone who is gay, and 62% know something who is or somebody who is lesbian.
Yes.
43% know someone who is bisexual, while 49% said they do not.
Okay.
68% of respondents who know a trans person reported being sympathetic to people, compared to 35% of those who don't. So the findings that they're correlating in this study are that you have more of a sympathetic edge when you know somebody of a transgender community. And I would say, even in my own past,
Hmm.
I was introduced through a dear friend of mine, Asia SF, back in San Francisco. Larry Hashbarger, he's been on this show.
Okay.
He, years ago, when I was in my 20s, was finding out about the transgender community. And I know transgender people have been around for much longer, but
Yeah.
it really became a big part of the people I hung out with at that period. And I would say it it's had a huge impact on my love for the community, my compassion for the community, especially what we've been talking about, what's going on now. And so I
Yeah.
believe this study, and of course, when you don't know something, that's where fear is enacted, and that's when you see
Mhm.
songs like the story that we just talked about.
Those are crazy. That song is crazy. I can't
Yeah,
even imagine. But
yeah,
yeah, I agree with you totally. I can totally believe this
yeah.
statistic, this study, because I feel like I've experienced it actually. Knowing someone that is trans, it gave me insight into their humanity, how they laugh, how they experience heartbreak, and how they have dreams and goals and they love their friends and family. So I cannot empathize more with the trans community. I may not actually understand all of their what that they have as far as to experience, but I do empathize with them and I know that they're human beings. And so I think that that has lended itself to me actually being a huge supporter of the trans community. With that in mind, I want to just say to my trans brothers and sisters to keep fighting that good fight and living your life authentically. I think it's
Yeah,
amazing.
and we'll keep doing that on this show for sure. We are live. Bryce, watching us live, says that Tyson needs a hobby. Those two songs,
You know,
and also he
be what?
says they are invoking their first. He says they are invoking their First Amendment rights. So I think streaming services are scared of losing revenue. That may be true, but what we just stated in the lyrics that they are actually breaking the rules of Spotify and Apple
Mhm.
Music by calling things like the devil. Those are, and many other things that are in those lyrics. So they're actually breaking the contractual agreement that they signed when they posted those songs. So I think it
You
goes
need
way beyond your First Amendment rights and free speech.
wow.
Malibu says some rap lyrics are inflammatory. The Middle East conflict on social media is blowing up. Inflammatory. It's not just this singer, just saying. Good point. And yeah, we hear you. Keep those comments coming through. Lastly, before we get to our interview with
Yes.
Lamont White, Matchmaker, coming up in just a second. We
So
love a
excited.
good follow up, and one of our favorite newer artists right now that everybody seems to be talking about is Troye Sivan. Troye Sivan wants everyone to leave his body alone. He actually has faced body shaming backlash ever since the
Mhm.
release of Rush. If you remember the music video for Rush, he got some backlash because a lot of people were accusing him of he had so many dancers in that video and models and the lack thereof of various body types. He
Mhm.
actually addressed it in Billboard in an interview and said that he sees it, he hears it, and he will do better in future videos. And I appreciate that.
Me too.
But in 2018, he had his own type of body shaming for being the size that he is. He's much more thin. And he's had a
Mhm.
lot of people talk about his body back in 2018. This is after a Tumblr photo that attacked his skin and bones, quote unquote, skin and bones frame, to which he clapped back with, "Let me know when you guys learn that it's weird to talk about someone else's body." Okay,
Ooh,
I
there we
like,
go. Hit it.
yeah. And in a follow-up tweet, he noted that he loved his body, but I do want the retweet. So he replied to that. But recently, we were talking on episode 508 about the track list of his upcoming album. That's something, what's it called? The album drop,
Something to give each other.
which drops this Friday, the 13th. Great day to drop an album, I believe.
Ooh.
And we were talking about on that episode how he did the cover art. So if you look at the first track, side A, you see his torso and it looks like he's on a couch naked. And if you flip it over on the Instagram, side B, you get the other track listings, but you also get his butt. And I love that way of showing that. But apparently, he got a bunch of more people talking about his body. And he said in a simple, plain post, "I like my body, and I think that makes some people uncomfortable." And on the bottom, he says, "Don't ask me about this in interviews. I don't want to talk about it unless I want to talk about it," which I think is fair. Thank
Yeah.
you. Love yous. What do you think about that kind of clap? He is on it. right?
I love it. I agree that if you are not allowed to fat shame people of one size, then the opposite size, you should not be shaming people as well. And I learned a long time ago, the only way that you can critique somebody is if they can change it in 5 seconds. So if they have something in their teeth, you say, "Oh, you have something in your teeth." They can take the stuff out of their teeth. If it's something that it takes a while for them to get over, keep your opinion to yourself, basically.
I love it.
Hmm.
Well, it is time to bring on our special guest. We were going to say goodbye on
Yes.
Instagram Live because
Bye,
we
Instagram Live.
pre-recorded, yes, by Instagram Live. We pre-recorded this earlier because Lamont actually has his show on his program the same night that we do. And so we are going to present it to you, but it was just recorded this week. So have a look with our interview with Lamont White. Here it is. Okay, well, we couldn't be more excited with our special guest tonight, actually, Lamont White, certified dating coach, matchmaker, couples counselor. You can imagine we have a lot to talk about. Lamont
Yes.
White, otherwise known as the gay dating coach, is the owner of BetterWayToMeet.com, a professional matchmaking, dating coaching, and couples counseling service for gay men in the U.S. When you started it in 2014, Lamont has matched hundreds of single guys and even helped a few guys get married. Nationally
Ooh.
recognized as a relationship expert for gay men and helping gay men maintain healthy relationships. And you have an undergrad degree in psychology, a graduate degree in professional community counseling, and you're a certified matchmaker. Lamont, you reside in Atlanta. Welcome to Tags Live.
Thank you.
Hi,
Thank you for that
Lamont.
introduction. I'm happy to be here, guys.
Well, so much to get into. I mean, let's just get
Yes.
this out of the way first, though. How did you become a matchmaker? I mean, you've heard of the Millionaire Matchmaker. I used to watch her
Yeah.
religiously. Now we finally have a gay matchmaker.
So
And
excited.
yeah, tell us how you
Yeah.
got into it.
Yeah, so Patty and I actually got our certification at the same matchmaking.
What?
What?
I
Yes.
interviewed her several years ago, and she was so fun. Yeah.
A great spirit. And, what I like about being certified is you get to learn the business, the science behind matchmaking. It's not just my gut feeling of,
Hmm.
oh, I think the two of you might be a match. No. And it's totally different when it comes to gay men because we don't subscribe to some of the stuff that the straight people do. We're really, really different. And I will tell you, my background is a little weird. I've been doing therapy for a long time with gay men, but I learned that we do not know how to date. We don't know how to argue. We don't know how to flirt. We don't know how to
Right.
shoot our shot. So I went back and got my certification so that I can teach gay men how to flirt, how to argue, and to stay in a healthy relationship.
Wow.
Love it.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So you mentioned that you saw that gay men did not know how to flirt. What would you suggest to someone who's just recently out of a long-term relationship and just is jumping into the dating pool right now? What are your recommendations? Because that's
Talking
me
about yourself,
personally.
Cody? Yeah.
I am talking about myself.
You
have-
know me. I got you. I would say definitely take your time. You have to
Okay.
rediscover who you are outside of a relationship. So that means reconnecting with your friends, your tribe, possibly doing some therapy so that you can heal,
Yes,
figuring out
why
what
not?
your interests are now. Take a list also of like what do you now want in your next relationship?
Okay. I got to write a list. That sounds like what that is
Short list.
now.
Short list.
Oh, okay. You sure? I have 20 things.
Sir, no, like five or six core characteristics that you want in your new relationship, and stick to it.
Okay. All right.
Well,
5 or
I'm going to
6.
do
I
that
can
same
do that.
list thing as well. 'Cause
Okay,
I
let's do
believe
it
in
together.
putting things out in the universe. So I'm a big
Mhm.
proponent of that. Do you think it's easier today to meet your partner as gay men because of the apps or is it a little bit more challenging than say 15, 20 years ago?
It is much more easier for you to meet your guy either on a dating app or social media. More than 60% of people have met their partner on some form of social media. So that means you cannot hide a light under a box and expect people to see it. So that means you have to be present on social media with your face, with your name, where you live, so that people can see you. That means you also have to be outside at different events so that you can meet a great guy.
I like that. Follow up just to that is it sounds like you need to become, if you're really seriously looking, you have to kind of combine. I love to go out and meet people in person, and I'm really good at that, but I don't always do so well like on the apps. But
Yeah.
there's a new dating app, Archer, that we
Yeah.
were talking about, and they keep bugging my phone, but I should probably put some effort into that as well. Not bugging, I changed my vocabulary.
You said what you said.
No, it's the universe telling you that you should try a different way of meeting guys, because most dating apps, guys are using it wrong. They might put like their torso or a blank picture. I say the way that you can successfully use a dating app is putting normal pictures that are clear, that are current, that tell the story of who you are. Put your name, fill the entire profile out, like your age, your height, your weight, your sexual position as well.
Okay.
Right? Don't want to waste anybody's time.
Hey, we're a sex podcast here. We have no
Yes.
problems with that, but we got that down.
And say what you're looking for in a partner, right? If you do it that way, you will still get the, crazy pictures and all that type of stuff and nudes. But guys will look at you differently and say, wait a minute, he looks like he's serious about meeting somebody.
Yes, I love that. You know what, though? The torso gets the boys. But I'm just putting that out there.
You can put a gym picture, with a shirtless one, but we also need to see your face.
That's true. I definitely see
Kodi?
that. Yes. And you mentioned putting down your sexual position on your dating profile. We did a story not too long ago about the difference between tops and bottoms and the way that they think. In your opinion, how big of an issue is sexual compatibility in a gay relationship?
So I think sexual compatibility is one of the core components of gay relationships. You ask me out if you want, but when we come to what you desire, it's okay. I do think that, and we looked at a number of studies, most gay men that are married are in long-term relationships, 5, 10 years. There's some flexibility there, which means there's versatility. It's not every day, it's not every week. It might just be on birthdays or Christmas or holidays. There's some
Hanukkah.
Right, Hanukkah. Those guys, I'll let you sit on it and have a good time. So I think it's fine to stick to what you like, but if you're having a hard time finding love, open your horizons and try to be a little bit more flexible sexually.
Okay, all right. And a quick follow-up on that. In your opinion, what are some other issues that one should consider when picking a partner?
Core values. Listen, that has nothing to do with what the person looks like. I'll say it again. Core values, no matter how cute, handsome, whatever he looks like, that has nothing to do with who he is as a person. So if you value honesty, transparency, advocacy, health, spirituality, you need to know that for yourself so that when you meet a guy, you're looking to see if there's compatibility there.
Okay, I love that. That's
Great
amazing.
advice. Well, one of the things that I've noticed in the last couple of guys that I've met, if we're going to make it personal here, is being non-committal. In other words, there's chemistry. We have a lot in common. I can think of 2 recent people, and it just seems like they don't want to commit to the next outing. And do you find that a lot of guys today, gay men in particular, I also talk to some of my hetero friends, that people don't want to commit that often?
So you say commit to a second or third date?
Thank you. Yeah, that second or third date. Forget about the relationship, at least getting to the second, third date.
Yeah, so there's something about you that the guy says, oh, he's handsome, he's gorgeous, he's cool, I like the conversation, but there's something that is missing for him to say, I want to take it to the next level. So you can do 2 things. One, you can move on.
Right.
Just,
Usually
literally
what I'm doing, yeah.
just move on. Or, which is a lot of people don't like doing this, is have that uncomfortable conversation.
Wow.
And say, hey, I really like our first date. I thought I had a great time with you. I like the way you smelled. The energy was great. Seems like you don't want to go on a second date. Can you tell me why?
I like
Ooh.
that. Yeah, that one I could do with one in particular. The second one, it was more, he didn't even, he kept nursing the conversation and we never even got on the first date. And it was
Mhm.
stringing me along, it seemed.
And I'm very much let's talk about it. And I didn't say let's text about it. I didn't say let's tweet about it. Let's email. Let's verbally have that conversation because I think some of the younger guys that like to text and you miss a lot of nuances when you have that verbal communication and you are starting to see how you two might handle conflict.
Hmm.
And if you're going to stay married, you're going to stay in a long-term relationship, you have to manage conflict successfully.
If I could just do a quick follow-up on that,
Oh
Kodi,
yeah,
because
go
there
ahead. You
was,
go.
well, there was a recent
We're
article.
both chomping at the bit now. I see the
Oh,
wheels turning.
only because this kind of had to, I think I may have answered my own question. There was this whole article that came out in Queerty recently, and where gay guys were sharing the reasons why they think they're undateable. And
Okay.
there was a lot of responses in that, many you can imagine on the list. I would imagine that advice where you can either ask why you're undateable or I guess do a little bit more introspective therapy and get that confidence you need so that you don't feel like you're undateable. I feel like I'm dateable, but there's so many in this article that didn't.
Yeah. Guys date the wrong way. They think a date is supposed to be like a job interview.
Okay.
And they sit down and they ask these questions like, well, why are you single? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are your great qualities? No one wants to perform. So,
Yeah.
don't ask those questions. A date is really about having a fun time with the person while getting to know them and staying out of the friend zone.
Love that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those three things, you do those three things, you will get a second, a third, and a fourth date.
Oh,
Wow.
rewatching
That's
this
amazing.
video. Go ahead, Kodi.
So when you were shooting your shot and you constantly are getting rejection, because I have been in the dating pool for maybe about 2 months now. I feel like I get equal amounts of, acceptance and rejection. How do you recommend that people keep their self-esteem up as far as wanting to get out there and put themselves out there?
Great question. So rejection is a part of the process. I'll
Mhm.
take a pause. It's part of the process to find the love of your life. Sometimes it has nothing to do with you. Sometimes it is guys, they don't know what they want, and you know what you want. And when you all meet each other, the guy's just like, I don't know what I want, so I'm just going to say no. Sometimes you're just not the person's cup of tea. And that's good. The guy should reject you and say, hey, you know what? I know you're into open relationships and I'm into monogamy. I'm not going to let's not waste each other's time. It has nothing to do with like you're a bad person. It just means you all just don't align on the things that what you want. And so many times we take that personal. And they say, well,
Yes.
I need to change who I am. No, sir. No, ma'am. Keep being who you are as long as it is something that is positive and something that you're evolving on as well.
Wow. I love that. And you know what? I think a lot of people, they really have an issue rejecting people in a humane way or in a way that really connects to people and doesn't treat them like an object as well. So I think that is a component as well. I don't know. What do you think?
I will tell you, adult, mature men who are healthy, emotionally aware, they appreciate rejection. Where a guy says, you know what? I had a great date with you, but looks like we're looking for two different things.
Wow.
I don't see this going anywhere.
Thank so
you,
much
sir.
time. Yeah.
You see how nice that was? You see how nice and respectful that was?
I loved it. You should reject me all the time, boo.
I'll do it for you. So, Lamont, you also have a show every Wednesday called Shoot Your Shot. It's on YouTube, I believe, or Instagram Live.
Yes. So every Wednesday, sometimes I'm on Instagram, sometimes on YouTube, but it's a fun, silly, but effective way for guys who want to meet each other on a social media platform. So I interview guys to get to know who they are. I allow the audience to ask them questions, and guys, they shoot their shots, and they have been like literally going on dates across the country, hanging out over the weekend. guys are like, oh, we've been together for 8 months. And then there's some drama also.
Oh,
on the
but
show.
that's what
for
I
good
want to
measure.
know.
Well, and one of your recent shows, Kodi and I were laughing at it. You had a guy on there who was literally giving a tour of his beautiful house, and it was like a house. He also then went through every bedroom and said what position we would be doing the deed in, which was really hot. And when you asked him, well, how long have you been seeing this guy? It was, he went on one date and expected the guy to move in with him. And we were like glued to this, what's Lamont going to say? And he's like, you can't expect to have a relationship after one date, move in like that. Do you find that our expectations often in the gay community, like we move way too quickly to moving into marriage and those sorts of things?
Yeah, I think that guy wanted someone to move in on the first date. I'm like, go find a homeless man. Maybe he'll move in with you on the first date.
Gladly.
Right? And he'll probably steal your TV while you're away at work. So don't do it. I do.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I do think that like sometimes we have unrealistic expectations. Like we may want a guy to be big into fitness or spirituality or be financially stable. But the question is, are you into fitness? Are you spiritually sound? Are you financially stable? And it doesn't mean that opposites can't attract, but you need to find compatibility. If you don't date more, you won't learn like what is appropriate and what is a good fit for you.
Wow. That's amazing. I kind of want to dig into more of these wild stories that you have. What is like something anecdotal what's crazy? What's your craziest story as far as gay dating coaching is concerned?
I think the denial that a lot of guys are uncomfortable with saying who they are, like presenting their most authentic selves. Like if you are a bottom, like you like to be penetrated, that is your thing. Do not deceive people and tell them that you are versatile. Because they're going to be expecting at some point that what's going to happen, and then you're going to disappoint them, and then everybody is mad. I think also if you are a person that cannot be in a monogamous relationship, you just know like that's not your behavior. Your history tells you the same thing. Don't get in a relationship with someone where it's going to be a good fit. It's the denial of who you are. I think as gay men, we have been taught to lie about who we are. So we do that on a daily basis. We lie to ourselves instead of doing the hard work where like you literally sit down and say, who the hell am I?
Yeah.
Or I want to be something different. Let me do the hard work, the journey to be who I really want to be.
Great.
Wow, this is so enlightening. I love it.
We definitely have to ask about Better Way to Meet, betterwaytomeet.com. It is your website that you started, and you have different packages on there on VIP matchmaking. You have things like you could work with many of the counselors you have on there, a dating coach session. In general, how would you describe the site, and how should people approach it if they want a more one-on-one type of experience?
I tell people, so a lot of people know me from Instagram as the gay dating coach. The business that I have, which I started way before Instagram, almost 10 years we're celebrating, Better Way to Meet, that's for guys who are serious about finding love. That's for guys who are like, hey, I don't know how to date. I need help. So the staff at Better Way to Meet, we work with guys all over the United States. We work with them individually to make sure that they are dateable before we send them on dates, because matchmaking is not like buying a car where you can say, this is the make, the model, the price range I want. You have to be marketable and dateable as well.
I'm sorry, I don't mean, can I pause you for 2 seconds and ask you what I'm really, I apologize, but what is being dateable? Because I'm really kind of confused about that term.
Yeah, so dateable is being what you seek to be. Dateable is also being confident. It's having qualities within you that other guys, when they see that, they smile and they want to be with you. Okay. So a guy, I would say, that is not dateable. An example of that is a guy that does not have any interests, any hobbies, all he wants to do is sit at home and go to work.
Hmm.
You're not dateable, sir, because no one wants to come home and see you just sit on the couch. Right?
Wow.
A guy who is not honest, you're not dateable because no one wants to date a liar. It's about having core values that guys appreciate and want in a relationship.
Okay. All right. So I apologize for interrupting you again.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll also add that does not include a gym body.
Okay.
You can have a gym body and not still be dateable, right? You can.
And real quick, it's probably the short answer that we need on this, but open relationships, do they work? Do they not?
So there are all different types of relationships. There are monogamous ones, there are open relationships, there are agreements, there are polyamorous relationships. All of those types of relationships, they work. They're successful. What makes each of those types of relationships work well, if you do two things. You got to communicate and you got to manage conflict. None of those relationships will be successful if you don't talk about your ever-changing desires, your problems, your concerns, and also if you don't manage conflict. When I say manage conflict, that means talking about the elephants in the room. If you're pissed off about something, hey, babe, I didn't appreciate how you did this. It made me feel this way. You know, a lot of people look negatively on open relationships or agreements or polyamorous relationships because we have been taught that those are not real relationships, that the only type of relationship is between two monogamous people. But that comes from, you know, Christian, heterosexual, white beliefs about like ownership. And I just feel like as gay men, we should challenge those beliefs and we get to write our own stories about who we are.
That's right.
Well stated.
Love it.
Lamont White, so happy to have you on. We have to have you back for sure because we barely scratched the surface, but
Totally.
Tools we can use here. I know our audience is going to love it. How can people follow you besides going to the website? Of course, betterwaytomeet.com, but how do you want people to follow you besides that?
Sure. They can check out my Instagram handle is The Gay Dating Coach, or on YouTube where all of my content is on the YouTube page. It's also The Gay Dating Coach.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Fabulous. Thank you, Lamont.
Yeah.
All right. That was amazing, Steve. Wasn't that so great?
Yes, that was really great. Thank you. We figured that out, I think.
We got that. We did that.
Yes. The reason why we had Lamont on earlier this week was because he has his live show, Shoot Your Shot, the same time that we do Tags Live. So anyways, but we did it earlier this week and great information. I'm actually I edit the show the next day. I'm going to take notes because there's a couple notes I already have, like actually spending time going on apps like Archer and going out and about. Like I need to, but I'm going to wait till we get back from our trip from Mexico because
it sounds wise to me.
Yeah, I'm going to do that first, and then I'm going to actually seriously do all these tips because there's some really good tips.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Yeah. No, he had so many great tips, and that part about being dateable was fantastic. So I
think we all have to ask ourselves the question, are you dateable? And that's not an easy question to ask yourselves, I think, right?
My answer was no.
Oh, yeah?
But I'm trying. I am trying.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got to move on. I think we have time for a Reddit thread where we can give some advice. And this one was a little bit interesting, Kodi. You really wanted to talk about this one, correct? About interracial dating.
Oh, yes. I cannot wait. I'm so glad we cut everything else out. And now that we're
getting to this one, I'm putting my glasses on because
juicy.
Yes. They're interracial dating. Going to start by saying I am an overthinker and generally anxious. I was on a date number 5 with a guy I liked who is black. He mentions a friend of his who only dates white guys and thinks he's a self-hating black man for that. I say It is a red flag to you that is it a red flag to you that most men I've dated have been black? And he says, absolutely. And we kind of get into it. I think I was respectful and listened, but he did kind of make me feel bad. Mentioned black men will date ugly white guys and only 10 out of 10 black guys. And mentions that his 5-year relationship partially ended because of racial issues with his white boyfriend. He has got me thinking more about this, so I'm curious to hear from black people, people of color, white guys, if I'm doing anything problematic about how to not be a red flag to potential partners. And he gives a little bit of context. He says he's white, 31, lives in New York, from a very small white town in the US. He's only dated one guy seriously, and that guy was black. And he did have a similar talk early in dating once about race, but it was more about making sure I was on the same page as him. And I assured him I'd always believe him, listen to what I needed to be a good partner. Well, in the last 10 years, he's casually dated 7 guys where 4 were black, 1 was Latino, 1 was white Mexican, and 1 was white, but generally much more attracted to guys that are very different looking than him. 75% of the guys he slept with have been black, the rest being Latino, white, or Southeast Asian. And when he imagines what his future would look like, he assumes that his husband will probably be black. He's attracted to a lot of different people, but in public, I for sure gravitate towards black and Latino guys who are thicker. And on Hinge, I have my filter set to black and Latino guys only. So he wants to ask the question, is this a fetish race play? Because it's never been something he's thought much about. He's legitly attracted to the opposite, and he just wants to know different perspectives on this. I want to applaud this guy first and foremost, because I think he's really putting it out there, and I do believe you're attracted to who you're attracted to. I think it sounds like he's listened to past partners on what they have to say, and he's posing questions to people of color, black guys, on is this behavior, on what I am thus far showing as of my 31 years of age, is this problematic or not? I have a lot to, I don't know. I'm a little in a conundrum. What do you have to say? Because I know you have a lot to say, and then I'll piggyback off of you.
I literally have so much to say. First and foremost, I think that if you are asking these questions, then you're on the right path. That's first and foremost. I agree with you that you are attracted to who you're attracted to, but I think that we should probably open that statement up a little bit and say that there is beauty in every race, every creed, every sexuality. So finding that beauty and being able to be attracted to more than one race is probably better off for you as a person. Like I said, there's a lot to unpack here. And I think that as long as this poster is doing the things that are necessary to learn about their partners and the struggles that they're going through as a Black person, and they want to learn about that the person behind the actual skin color, then they're doing their due diligence. I literally said earlier, that you can't really understand somebody's experience 100% fully, but there is a point where you have to put yourself in their shoes and do the best that you can, whether that's educating yourself by reading, and most importantly, by listening. I have dated a lot of white guys in my time, and I know pretty early on which ones are just there to fetishize me as a Black person. They just want the big BBC. They just want my beautiful skin. They just want any of the other tropes that are out there about Black people. I know I've dated, I just got a relationship with a white guy, and Joe was he listened to me about racial things. He didn't listen to me about a lot of other things, which is probably why we broke up. But he was my biggest defender as far as race was concerned, and he listened as far as other things were concerned. And I have to applaud him for that. So I think that this guy is on the right track as long as he is listening and he is actively trying to be a better person.
I want to agree with you. I feel like this guy is listening. I've also been on the same page with you where people have fetishized me, where I knew that I was just another Latino, another
Hmm.
brown skinned Latino, that could I have been anyone of
Hmm.
the Latino race that happened to come into your vision recently, that now I'm on the flavor of the month here. And where I commend this guy is, if you like what you like, and he's doing the good work. I feel he's questioning and being a good, wanting to be a good listener when it comes to people of color. And I think he shouldn't, he's doing all the right things. And I think that I this would not be somebody that I would accuse of fetishizing a certain group. I think it's interesting when he thinks that his future husband would be a black man. I think that's kind of interesting, but I think that shows his age. He's only 31,
Hmm.
and I think that's just maybe an immature comment to make. But all of his other statements that he's made, I think he's on the right path. He's being a good listener, and that's what we all really want, is we want to be seen, heard, and we want to be the individual that we really are. We don't want to be one of many sheep here. We want to be seen for who we are first and
Amen.
foremost, before we are a part of a particular group. When it comes to relationships or dating, that's all I have to say on that. So,
I love that. I think that's
yeah,
great. I think we summed it up. I think we did a good
I
job
think
there,
we
especially
did.
succinctly too. I think.
Okay. Yes, I agree. And lastly, we've got to get into our, one, before we get into Thirst Trap, we are a week away from our brand new podcast that's going to be dropping, and the show is called Of a Certain Age. We have so many interviews lined up. It's really exciting. Week after week, we are going to be interviewing people in the fitness world, in the cosmetic world, in the mental health world, into the supplement world, into the job, and Are You Where You Thought You Would Be, I believe, is our opening premiere episode, with
Can't
a
wait.
life coach talking about career and the direction of your success pattern. And it's all starting a week from today, October 18th, our brand new show, Of a Certain Age. And the way you could follow it right now, which you'll get updates, because we're going to do a countdown, as you know we can only do, you can go on Instagram and follow us, Of a Certain Age Pod, P-O-D, Of a Certain Age Pod, P-O-D, and follow us. And starting this weekend, we are starting the countdown on that Instagram channel. And next Wednesday, October 18th, Of a Certain Age debuts. And how excited are you, Kodi?
I am chomping at the bit. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm nervous because you always get a little nervous when you have a baby. And this is our baby. And I'm so excited. We give him a long name too, Of a Certain Age. That's
Yeah, we
and I'm
did.
okay with it.
Me as well. We've earned those years in our age, and
Amen.
I feel like we've learned a lot in recording many of these episodes, and we hope that we can disseminate that information to our listening audience. So stay tuned. Of a Certain Age, follow it, Of a Certain Age Pod on Instagram, to get the latest updates for the show that drops Wednesday, October 18th, wherever you get your podcasts. And lastly, we couldn't help but do we have time to do this? Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, if we keep it quick, who
Keep
you
it
vote for
quick.
this
Straight
week?
as gay porn. Pick your favorite one. I'm just gonna go first. There was a lot to choose from, but I think Josh Moore's, where he's got that uncut cock, and it looks like he's dripping cum all over his body. I'm like lusting after that. He gets my pick of the week. I will post it
Yes.
on TAGSPodcast.com, episode 509, and you can vote for yours. Who gets your pick?
Josh Moore. I have to vote for him. It's such a hot pick. He's in front of a metal wall. He just did a bukkake film, and
Oh,
he's
God.
covered in cum, and he has a huge smile on his face. So I
Eli
live.
says Derek Savage. Jensen says, Victor the Orange. Love it. Thanks for playing along. And thanks for joining us on this episode. So much fun. You can follow Kodi. He's a life coach at KMD Coaching on Instagram or his personal account at Mr. Maurice. Follow me on Instagram. I am _Steve V. Go to the website, TAGSPodcast.com, reference episode 509. And in the meantime, continue having hot gay sex. Lovely. See you next week.